So, as most of you know, September is Suicide Awareness Month. Um, for those of you that don't know, now you know. I wasn't going to share my story, but there's been a lot of people on Facebook sharing theirs. It's helped me in my struggles. Um, so, if I can reach just one person and help them with my story, then it's worth putting this on the internet. I had attempted suicide 4 times by the time I turned 29, just a couple weeks ago. The first couple times were in high school. I was struggling, just typical normal high school stuff that really don't even matter anymore. I mean, it didn't matter then either, but you try telling a 17, 18-year-old Matt full of piss and vinegar and stubbornness and that stuff didn't matter, and he wouldn't have believed you. It was not, those were not so much serious attempts as cries for help. I realize that now. I did not realize it at the time that's what it was. It wasn't that I wanted to die. It was I needed help and didn't know how to ask for it. Didn't know, and I was too proud and too stubborn to admit that I needed help. Flash forward 10 years, and here I am, and just barely. Sorry. Just barely a month and a half past my last serious attempt to kill myself. I'm not someone that I've ever thought of as depressed. I've never thought I was depressed. I got a great family, great friends, a great job. I love what I do for work. I love my family. I wasn't abused. I've never had any, giant, tragic, sudden losses or tragedies that befell me in my youth. I had a good childhood growing up and a good life right up until 28 years old, 29 years old, whatever it was. But then, some of you know this, some of you don't. About a little over 3 years ago, I met the woman that I'm still convinced that I'm going to marry. We dated for quite a while, and then I broke things off because I got scared, and I somehow managed to get her back in my life, and then managed to mess it up again. I messed up, and I spent the first 2 months that we weren't together this year pretty much drinking myself in a bottle every night. There was at least 5 nights a week that I drank just so I could sleep. And I don't think I have a drinking problem because, yes, I enjoy beer, but it's not something that I wake up like, oh, I gotta have a beer, or I need drink throughout the day. It's just I enjoy drinking beer on the weekends and at night, and at the time that's all I could do to get any sleep at all. And then once I woke up from my 2-month bender, I realized that shoving those feelings and emotions that I hadn't dealt with yet, shoving them deep inside of me and trying to drown them in a bottle was not going to work. That was not the way to go about that. And it's humbling having to look yourself in the mirror and know that you messed up the best thing that's ever happened to you, and trying to accept the fact that person's out of your life for good is not easy, and I still have not accepted it. I don't know that I ever will. I'll never give up on her. To this day, I still have a ring that I believe will end up on her finger one day. Call me stupid, but that's what I believe. And anyways, I was having a really hard time coming to terms with how damaged I was and how broken I was. Um, I tried to drown it in a bottle, and that didn't work. And I took my handgun out and I wrote my note, and I went and parked on a dirt road where I knew my truck would be easy enough to find, but anybody that happened to be driving along probably would not stop. Um, it was a deal where I was going to call 911 and report it. That way they would be the first ones there. That way nobody else had to see it. And I sat there and was enjoying what I thought was going to be my last few minutes on Earth. Anybody that knows me knows I love being outdoors. I love hunting, fishing. I enjoy being outdoors, and I was soaking in what I thought was going to be my last few minutes outside, and once you've tasted the metallic taste of a gun barrel in your mouth, it's not something that will probably ever leave me. I don't know why I'm still here. I still haven't figured that out. I just know that I didn't have the strength to pull the trigger. I don't know why I didn't, because I was at my absolute rock bottom. I had pushed all my friends away. I was literally coming to work, working, just barely making it through each day, going home and laying in bed and staring at the ceiling. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to deal with anybody. I lost 40 pounds from not eating. And when I did try to eat, I'd eat 2 or 3 bites and feel like I needed to go throw up, just because I was so down, and I was frustrated and upset with myself and disappointed in myself. But as you can see, I'm still here. My best friend Steven has a lot to do with that. He was there for me. I mean, I drove straight to his house when I decided I wasn't going to do it, and I gave him my gun and cried like I haven't cried in probably ever. Just knowing how close I was to not being around anymore, and the not knowing of what came next and how he was going to react and how my family was going to react when they found out about it. And just, at that point, I was at my lowest. It was hopeless. I felt like it was hopeless and there was no point in me being here anymore. That's the only way to describe it, is I was in a tunnel and there was no light. There wasn't a pinpoint of light in that tunnel. It was just dark everywhere I looked. And I didn't know what to do. I had it in my head that the love of my life was gone forever, and I was so mad and so frustrated at myself, and she is the only person in this world that I could ever see myself with. I've known it since, I think I knew her 2 weeks and knew that she was the one. She had actually crashed it. Well, it was me and my roommate at the time. She'd crashed at our house one weekend after we were out partying a little too hard, and I just remember waking up and being completely hungover, and she just says, "Good morning. The sky's awake. I'm awake, so you should be awake." And I'll never forget that. And then I said, there's food in the kitchen if you want something. Go find yourself something. I'm clearly not hungry right now. I'm gonna go hug the porcelain throne for a little while. And I came back, or she came back to the bedroom with a big bowl of Captain Crunch, peanut butter Captain Crunch, always peanut butter. And she says, I wasn't gonna eat, but I saw you had a really yummy cereal, so I decided to eat. And in that moment, 2 weeks in, she was the one. And you feel that way about somebody for 3 years, and then for them to be gone all of a sudden, it was hard. It crushed me, and it was my fault. I messed up. It wasn't on her. But that's what led up to the most recent and probably closest call with killing myself that I've ever had. And a lot of that comes from my stubbornness. I've always been a stubborn person. I've got a lot of pride. I needed help, and I was too embarrassed and ashamed to admit that I needed it. I've never liked to show weakness or show emotion. I've always really tried to be pretty even-keeled and pretty steadfast in my emotions and keep them in check all the time. And you can't do that all the time. Eventually it gets to be too much and it overwhelms you, and that's what happened to me. Is I got completely overwhelmed, and the only thing that I could think of was I wanted the hurt to stop. I wanted the constant hurt and heartbreak and disappointment and frustration to stop. And that was the only way I knew how to do it. But once I realized that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm not strong enough, I can't do this. Everybody's going to hit that point in their life where they need help. And it's okay to reach out for help. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even a year ago, I would not have admitted that I needed help. Just because I was being stubborn and thought that I could take the world on by myself, and that's not the case. Everybody needs help at some point or another, and there's no shame in asking for help. And it took a lot of humility and humbling myself to recognize that and reach out and tell people I wasn't okay, because for the most part, I think most people thought I was okay. I was putting on a good face, and I was still trying to be the same old me that I always am. Just because I didn't want to look weak. I didn't want them to know that I was hurting. I didn't want them to know that I was crying all the time. I didn't want them to know that I felt completely and utterly hopeless and lost. And I felt like I'd let my family down. My mom loved my girlfriend just as much as I did. And they had a very close bond. They talked more than me and my mom did, which I really loved for both of them. They both needed that. And it's hard feeling like you let your parents down and you let your family down. I'm okay with letting myself down. It happens. I hold myself to a higher standard than I do most people, just because that's how I've always been. I've always been hard on myself and pushed myself. And when you aim high like that and you push yourself, you're gonna fall short. I'm used to not meeting the mark that I've set myself, but that's because I set the bar high. But disappointing my parents and letting my mom down, that was harder than any disappointment I could bring upon myself. Just seeing the disappointment hurt in their eyes. And I messed up a couple times as a kid and a teenager, where I let mom and dad down, but nothing on the level that I felt like I had this time. I felt like like I had thrown away not just my future, but in a way theirs, the the grandbabies and the daughter-in-law and everything that comes along with that. I felt like I'd thrown that away, and for me and them, and it just it's very hard to see that disappointment in your parents' eyes. And yeah, they still love me at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean that they weren't disappointed. I think when I moved back home, Mom gave me the cold shoulder for probably the better part of at least a week and a half, which I understood. I don't blame her. Um, what happened shouldn't have happened. Um, I gave up on my relationship and I quit trying. Um, I let her down. I I broke a lot of promises that I'd made. I mean, I still carry a whole list of promises that I made to her and I broke. Carry it in my wallet every day. Have every day since we broke up. Not so much as a reminder of what happened, but as a lesson for me and a way for me to remind myself how badly I messed up, because I don't want to do that again. And it's hard feeling like you let down yourself and your parents and the woman that you love and her whole family, and it's a lot to take on. And I tried to just brush it off and be, I'm okay. I'll just party my ass off and everything will be fine. And that's not how this works. You can't heal a broken heart with beer, and you can't fix a run of bad luck if you're not around to fix it. If you're not breathing to make the effort to fix it. While I'm embarrassed and ashamed that it got to that for me, that I was that low and that I thought about doing that, it's also been a blessing. I'm closer with my parents than I probably ever have been. Um, I know I know that I'm closer with Steven, my best friend, for making myself vulnerable in front of him and letting him in on just how bad a shape I was in. And I mean, it brought me back to God. Uh, Anybody that knows me knows that I grew up Catholic for 18 years, Catholic school all the way through high school. Quit going to church the day I graduated. Um, it wasn't that I didn't believe in God. I just was tired of it being forced upon me for 18 years. It just is kind of overwhelming. I'd grown and I'd experienced some things in the world, and I had questions about different things and why we believed them, and it didn't seem like any of the teachers wanted to have those discussions. They just wanted to say, hey, it is the way it is. This is just the way we do it, instead of having good conversations about it and answering questions and listening. They just, forced the religion down our throat. And so I quit going. And then I went a little bit when I was with Courtney. But I mean, for a solid 7 years, probably the only time I went to church was when I went to see my grandma and when I was in Nashville visiting family. But I tell you what, the sense of relief and the calmness that I have now every night after I hit my knees and pray is hard to describe. Um, God had no reason to have an open ear for my prayers. I mean, I've lived life. Uh, I've enjoyed things and you know done things that I'm not proud of, but while I don't regret them, I'm not. It's not really something that I'm bragging about or proud about. It's just I lived life and I learned lessons um, and I had given God no reason to be open to hear my prayers. Um, I was a lost soul. I was for the longest time. I was just at the bars chasing skirts as often as I could. Um, I didn't. I worked and I chased skirts and drank beer and hunted, and that's all I cared about. That's what my life was. That was the only thing that was important to me. I turned my back on God. There was some things that happened, and I said, there's no way there's a God. Absolutely no way that He would allow things like this to happen. And then this happened to me, and it the first night I hit my knees and prayed, and I mean I cried during my prayer. I broke down and cried like a baby. But once I got done pouring my heart and soul out to God, it was just like a peace came over me, like it felt like somebody was there that had my back. And it's hard to describe. I knew that I had family and friends that supported me, but this was just like on a different level of support. It's hard to describe the feeling, but I can't go to sleep now without praying and asking God for help and thanking Him for another day here, because I was about 3 pounds of pressure away from not having another day here. And I'm not taking that for granted. There's a lot of things that I needed to work on as a person, and I'm always going to be a work in progress, but I'm here to work on that. That's something I didn't understand before. I thought that if I killed myself, that all my problems were gone. They weren't my problems anymore, and that's not the case. All it does is create more problems. The the hurt and the heartbreak that I was and am still currently going through would have been given to every single person that's in my life. And it's hard enough knowing that I'm going through this, but to think of what I almost put my mom and dad through, and my siblings, and my friends, and my ex. I mean, I had already broken her heart twice, and I could only imagine what this would have done to her. It was selfish. It's possibly the most selfish thing that I've ever considered doing. Actually, there's no possibly. It is. It is the most selfish thing I've ever considered doing. But I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it as, if I do this, the hurt stops. And that's all I wanted, was the hurt to stop. I didn't think about all these kids that my friends have that call me Uncle Matt and love me and what it would do to them growing up without me around, or how much it would hurt them, or how much it would hurt my mom and dad and my siblings and my niece and nephew. It's hard to look at the big picture when you're so focused on the here and now. It's hard to look. I mean, for me, it's hard to look a month down the road right now, honestly. I'm still taking it one day at a time. But it's hard to look at the big picture and see the hurt and pain that will be caused by your actions. I've always been slow to speak, and it always drove Courtney crazy because I would always really think through what I was saying, because I know that once words are said, you can't take them back, and I never wanted to say the wrong thing or have something be misinterpreted in a way that I didn't mean it. And I've done that for as long as I can remember. I've always tried to be reasonable and try not to let a quick judgment or quick thought come out without actually putting thought into the repercussions of it, because you don't know what anybody else is going through. And while you might think it's a joke or think something or think nothing of it, somebody else might take it completely differently. And so while I've always been good at doing that with my words, for some reason, I didn't think about that with my actions. My actions were selfish, and I didn't think about everybody that it was going to affect. I'm still not sure why I'm here today. I'm really not. I'm still just taking it one day at a time. I know that, everybody keeps telling me that God has a bigger plan, and, you can't see God's plan, and I know that, and it's hard to accept that. It's hard for me to just accept that God has a bigger plan for me, and that I need to give up the love of my life and move on. It's just something that I'm not able to do right now. And I know there's a lot of people that, man, you should just move on. It's never gonna happen. Man, you guys aren't good together. Well, I'm not gonna listen to those people. I didn't listen to the voice in my head that told me to pull the trigger. I'm not going to listen to the people in my life that don't believe in the same things I do. But I'm just thankful that I'm still here to have an opportunity to try to have her back in my life, to try to fix things and make things right. And that's not just with her, that's with everybody in my life. I've made mistakes every day of my life, and now I get a chance to fix them and try to do things the right way with everybody in my life. Not everybody gets that, and after being as dark and down and scared as I was, if I didn't have the support system in my life that I do, there's no way I'd still be here. Absolutely no way. My mom and my dad and Steven and a couple of my aunts have been my rock through this whole thing and trying to figure out what's next. With the encouragement of my boss and his wife, I've been looking at getting the professional help I need, because you can't just act like you didn't try to kill yourself and that everything's gonna be okay. It's not. You need to go talk to somebody. I need to go talk to somebody Um, and that's very hard to admit that there's something that I can't handle by myself. I've always been I can put my mind to it and I'll just make it happen. I'll will it into existence, and that's not gonna work here. It hasn't worked for the past, you know, 5 months, 4 months, whatever it's been. Um, and a year ago, if I'd have been in this position, there's no way I would admit that I need professional help. No way. I was too stubborn and prideful and embarrassed to admit that I needed help. But I finally realized that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with saying I'm not strong enough or I don't know what to do. And there's people out there that are trained to help you through your situation. There's people out there that do care. There's absolute strangers that are more than willing to spend however long you need talking you off the ledge. There's people out there that care about you. Everybody matters. I had convinced myself that I didn't matter, and that, yeah, the world would miss me for a little bit, but that it would move on. People are still gonna get up and go to work. At first it'd be a big hole, and then slowly it'd heal up, and and then eventually it'd just be a little scar that you remember on birthdays and around holidays, and but that's not the case. Those wounds don't just heal up. The hurt and heartbreak that I would have put my family and friends through, that would never have gone away. That would have stuck with them forever. And the fact that I know that I almost did that to them is very hard for me to accept. I'm still working on coming to terms with the fact that I almost did that to them, because there's nothing that I wouldn't do for any of them. There's nothing that I wouldn't do to protect them or help them or be of service in some way. And the fact that I almost turned the world upside down is very hard to accept. But I did, and I'm working on accepting it. It's a daily battle to accept my weaknesses and my flaws, and to acknowledge that I'm lucky to still be here. There's plenty of people that haven't been this lucky. There's plenty of people that don't have the love and support that I do. And and I pray for those people. I hope that they find the help that they need, and that somebody cares enough to reach down and pull them out of the darkness. Because I had people reach in and pull me out. And while I'm still climbing the ladder, working on my way out, it can be done. The darkness is not permanent. The sun's gonna shine eventually. Eventually that weight on your back will become less and less, and when you talk to a professional, they'll give you the tools and help that you need to deal with your bad days, because everybody's gonna have bad days and dark days where they don't want to go. Every day I have to force myself to get up and get out of bed and come to work and try. And there's a lot of days I don't want to be here. I just want to lay in bed and pull the covers over my head and sleep all day, because if I'm sleeping, I'm not awake thinking. And when I'm awake, I can't shut my brain off. So if I just sleep all day, then I can pretend that none of the last 6 months ever happened. But that's not the way life works. I don't get to do that. I still gotta get up, go to work every day, and try. There's two things in life that take zero talent, and that's effort and determination. Not everybody is a great basketball player. Not everybody is a great musician. But everybody is blessed with the ability to get up and try and to be determined to try. I wake up every day and just tell myself, hey, you're going to make it through this day. You're not going to quit. You're not going to roll over. You're going to push through this day. Yeah, it's going to suck. Every day sucks so far. Every day without Courtney in my life, it sucked so far. And I don't really see that changing in the future. But I still get up and try. I still get up and try to put a smile on my face and do the best I can throughout the day. And, I know that if I push myself for, 12, 13, 14 hours, then I can go home and sleep. And while it might only be, 4 or 5 hours a night that I get to sleep, I've earned that break from my head. I know I'm kind of rambling on this, but just bear with me. I didn't really have anything wrote down. I know by this point in the video, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, why? It's just a girl. Why would you be this depressed over a girl? And she's not just a girl. She is the girl. She's always been the girl for me. Even before I met her, she was the girl for me. I've loved her for 1,155 days now. And while we have not been together all those days, that has not diminished the love that I feel for her. She was and is my world. And I know it sounds stupid to be this broken up over a girl, but you only get one once in a lifetime love. You only get one forever love, and she's mine, and I pushed her away and probably won't ever see her again. If I'm being honest with my head, I don't know that she can ever overlook what happened and how I just quit. In my heart, I absolutely still believe that, that I'll be standing at the end of the aisle and she'll be walking down at me one day. Absolutely believe that in my heart. 110%, no doubt. No doubt. I have her ring at home that I pray over every night. And, it might not ever happen. In my head, I think that it's about 50-50 in my head, but in my heart, I believe that we will be together again. And, that's, honestly, right now, that's what's getting me through the day. Is it the most healthy thing for me to do? Probably not. But if you don't have anything to have hope in, then what's the point? Yeah, I wake up every day hoping she texts me and wants to talk. I wake up every day hoping that, by some miracle, she wants to go grab dinner. And, that hope is what gets me through the day. Honestly, right now. That and my friends and family's support. It's not, like I said, it's probably not the healthiest thing to do, since that's what got me into this mess in the first place. But that's what I'm doing. And it doesn't, for now it's her, and maybe in 3 or 4 months when I realize that, maybe she's not coming back, maybe she really is gone forever, maybe that hope will be placed in, I don't know, shooting ducks, or, whatever comes next in my life. I feel like that thing that I have hope in is going to change as the days go on. But I'm still always going to have hope in something. No situation is hopeless. Not a single one. There's not a hole that you can get into that with enough work and determination and prayer that you can't get out of. There's never going to be a tunnel so dark that there's not light on the other side. There's always something to look forward to, even when it seems like there's not. Even if it's just a little thing like, hey, I went and had lunch today, and I got lucky, and they gave me a free Frosty. Well, that just made that a better day. Is it gonna change your life? Absolutely not. It's a fucking Frosty. But still, then the next time you go, you're gonna be like, you know what? I hope I get another Frosty. And if you don't, oh, okay, well, I didn't get a Frosty. But then the next time you go, you're still going to have that hope that you get hit up with another free Frosty. Because who don't love free Frosties? But there's always something to have hope in. And it doesn't have to be a person or an event. I mean, it can be something as little as, you know, hoping that it rains and that you get to sleep while it's raining. Or hoping that you find a penny laying on the ground. It really doesn't matter. But you just got to have something to hope in. If you look hard enough, you'll always find something. And with hope comes faith. You have to believe. And that's not just a spiritual belief, but you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you're strong enough to make it through whatever you're going through. You have to believe that there's nothing that you can't conquer or overcome. You have to have faith in yourself. And, you know, I struggle with that. I used to be a very confident person, and I've been struggling with that lately because I haven't believed in myself. I feel like I've messed up so many times and let so many people down that I started to lose that faith in myself, that I was like, well, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And, you know, slowly but surely I'm gaining that faith back in myself and knowing that I'm doing what needs to be done and what I need to do to get myself better and get myself out of where I'm at right now. But faith in God plays a big part in that too. I disappeared from the faith for a long time, and I can't imagine trying to go to sleep now without hitting my knees and talking to God. And it doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't have to pray the rosary. You don't have to say a million Our Fathers. You just get down on your knees and talk to God, and you tell him what you're thinking. And you just talk to him like you're talking to a friend. I mean, it's incredible how relieving and how soothing that can be. I know it sounds kind of dumb, but it is. It's like I've been carrying this weight on my shoulders all day, and I get home and I pray and I get to take it off. It's like God's taking the weight off my shoulders for the night. And, you know, then I get up the next day and slowly that weight builds back up and builds back up, and then I go home and pray and God takes the weight off again. And, you know, hopefully as time goes on, there's less and less weight to take off at the end of the day. But in my circumstance, that's what it feels like. I mean, I've had some down moments the past, 3 or 4 weeks, and it's never failed that when I crack open my Bible, every time it opens up to a passage or a story or a proverb that I needed at that time. Like, I remember one night, just like 2 weeks ago, I was, I don't read the Bible front to back. I just kind of open it randomly, and wherever it ends up is where it ends up. And it was a day where I was having a lot of struggles, believing that I was on the right path, trying to improve myself and fix things with Courtney. And I was really struggling with trying to decide if it was worth the hurt and just the emotional roller coaster I was on. I did not know if it was worth what I was doing. And I cracked my Bible open, and it opened up to the book of Job, which I honestly did not remember from all my years of education. So I sat down and read it. And Job has it all. He's got servants and animals and sons and daughters, and he's got the world. And then his friends told him, would you still praise your God if you did not have all this? And so God tested Job and took it all away. Took his animals, took his land, made him sick, killed his family. And Job doubted, just like I did. Job had the world just like I did. I had the world. And Job doubted, and he got angry with God, and his friends mocked him, and even his wife said, why do you still worship your God? But yet Job persevered. He stuck with it, and he kept believing in God. And God blessed him and gave him everything back twofold. And some people might just think that it's a random coincidence that I opened my Bible up to that particular book. But I don't take that as coincidence. That's a sign. God knew that that's what I needed to hear. And so that's what he put in front of me. And every time I've needed a sign in the past month, I've found one. And I don't know whether it's because I'm looking for one, or whether God is putting them there intentionally. I don't know. I'll never know until I get to the pearly gates and get to ask him. But I have faith that it's him. It's not just coincidence. It's not happenstance. Everything happens for a reason, and I feel like that is why I've been seeing and getting the signs that I have been lately. And so you gotta have faith. And not just, religion's great. Religion, it doesn't matter what religion. Catholic, Judaism, Islam, all the others. It does not matter. Whatever God you believe in, that's something to fall back on. And then once you fall back on it, maybe keep it in your life. That's what I'm going to try to do. I went too long without him, and I'm hoping that never happens again, because life's a lot better with him than without him. Even though, the rest of my life's kind of shit right now, but that part of it is definitely improving. And then faith in yourself. You gotta believe in yourself. And I'm my biggest critic. We all are. We're all our biggest critics. And I believe in myself. I believe that I can make it out of this hole. I believe that you can make it out of whatever hole you're in. If you're struggling, you can make it out. But you gotta believe in yourself. The first journey starts with a single step. How you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Just little progress here and there and there, and then the next thing you know, you're standing in the sunlight instead of in the darkness, and the darkness is behind you. And the other thing that's helped me through this is love. Yeah, love got me to where I'm at right now, and struggling with that. But love also saved me. The love of my parents, the love of my friends, hell, even the love of my life that I'm not with right now, the thought of her still saved me. There's not much I can say on love that you probably haven't read or heard or whatever yourself, but you gotta learn to love yourself. It's something I struggle with every day. Do I like myself? Yeah, most of the time I like who I am, but do I love myself? Honestly, most days, no. I don't, because I look at my past mistakes and screw ups and people I've let down and disappointed, and it's hard to love the guy that did that to people I care about. It's hard to look in the mirror and love the face that looks back at me. I mean, it's hard to look in the mirror and look back at, have my eyes looking back at me, because I see all those mistakes and all the ways I messed up and all the people I hurt along the way. So, yeah, it's hard for me to love myself right now. And it's something I'm working on. It's probably going to always be a challenge. Just because of how hard I am on myself, I don't feel like I'm probably ever going to be good enough for myself. And, that's probably something I need to work on. Nobody's perfect, and, I don't need to beat myself up over mistakes all the time. Everybody makes mistakes. Granted, I feel like mine have been bigger than some people have made. Other people have made bigger mistakes, but the love of friends and family can only get you so far. You have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn how to be okay with who you are as a person, and if you don't like it, there's nobody stopping you from changing who you are. There's nobody stopping you from, kicking a bad habit. I'm still trying really hard right now to kick the habit of chewing. I'd quit cold turkey for about a month, and I relapsed a little bit, and I'm working on it again. But it's a work in progress. It's not gonna be overnight. I don't think that I'm just gonna wake up one morning and the world's gonna be hunky dory. I'm gonna be 100% fine. But if I can work on doing a little something every day that helps me to love myself, then I'll take that progress. I'll take those little baby steps. And I'm sorry this video is so long. I really didn't think it was going to be this long. I got on and just started rambling. I honestly wasn't sure that I wanted to make this video. I wasn't sure that my story was important enough, or that anybody would take the time to listen. Hell, they still might not. I still might upload this and nobody watches it. But, on the off chance that I help one person, that one person decides they're going to reach out and get some help like I should have months ago, then it's worth it. Yeah, there's some stuff on this video that's a little bit embarrassing and that I'm not super proud to admit. But if just one person decides to take that first step to try to climb out of the darkness because they see this video, well, then it's worth it to me. I didn't have anybody that I thought that I could turn to about how bad it was, because I didn't realize how bad, not how bad, but I didn't realize the struggles that other people were going through, which we never do. On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, nobody posts their bad days. Nobody posts the bad things that happen. Well, most of the time they don't. Everybody sees that picture perfect online life that you only see one side of. And I don't know that I'm super guilty of it. I try not to really put any of my life on social media. A little bit here, a little bit there. But, I try to keep it as nonchalant as possible. Hunting, pictures, fishing, I'll share the occasional meme here and there. But as far as my personal life, I try to keep it off the internet, because I feel like, what I have to say doesn't really matter. But then I realized that there's more people that have been in my shoes than I believe, or that I would have believed. People that from the outside looking in have great lives, that they got good families and good jobs, and some of them got families or kids, or whatever it is. It's hard to look at those people and see what's going on inside. And I was probably the same way. Everybody thought that I was okay, including me, until I wasn't. And by the time I realized it, it was almost too late. There's there's nothing wrong with reaching out and getting help. There's a hotline you can call 24/7 if you need to talk to somebody. They will answer, they will talk to you, they will help you through whatever it is you're going through. And they'll give you more resources to help deal with those issues. I'm in the progress right now of finding a therapist that I'm comfortable with, sitting down and talking to these issues. And it's easier over the phone talking to those people, just because you don't have that face-to-face interaction, and you're not seeing their body language and their facial expressions. But I feel like there's something to be said for talking in person. And maybe it takes a lot of work up to that. Maybe you talk to them on the phone for 4, 5, 6 sessions before you feel comfortable enough to go in and sit in front of them and talk. I know that myself personally, I can talk to somebody over the phone and hold myself together. But as soon as I start talking to people about this stuff in real life, I tear up and I start breaking down and crying. And as somebody who, I cried when my grandpa died, cried when my grandma died, and that's pretty much it up until, the past few months. And now, for a while it was a daily occurrence or a couple times a day. And, I'm not too proud to admit that sometimes a good cry helps. It helps to get all that emotion and pent up feelings out in the open. And, I still have not met with anybody in person yet, so I don't know if I will feel the same way if I start crying in front of a complete stranger. But, if I do, I do. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You can't do anything in front of those people that they haven't dealt with. There's nothing you can say to them that they haven't heard. There's nothing that you will tell them that will make them think that you're a lost cause. They will be there to help you. That's what they're there for. People don't choose to be a therapist because it pays great or because it's a fun job. There's nothing fun about helping people with trauma and helping them cope with what they're going through in life. There's nothing fun about that. Be about like having a job emptying porta potties. It's not fun. But they do it because they care. They care about people. They want people to be okay and to move on and to grow. So, I don't know, this is getting close to an hour, so I guess I'll wrap it up. Whatever you do, don't quit. Don't give up. Don't think that ending your life is going to fix your problems, because it doesn't. It just passes them on to everybody that you care about. There's nothing wrong with admitting you need help. Everybody needs help at some point in time. Michael Jordan would not be the greatest basketball player ever if it wasn't for Rodman and Pippen. He needed help to be that great. He can't inbound the ball, dribble the ball down the court, shoot the ball, rebound the ball, pass it to himself. He can't do all that. He needed help. And, none of the quarterback greats would be great if they didn't have their wide receivers there to help them, and they didn't have the line to help them. Everybody needs help. Nobody can do it all by themselves. You might be able to get by with it for a little while. I got by with it for a little while, but, eventually it was way more than I could handle, and then I got overwhelmed. And there's people out there willing to help you lighten your load and to deal with what you're going through. Reach out to them. Reach out to me. I'm not going to put my phone number on here, but, you can shoot me a message on Facebook, or if you know my number. I'm not a professional. I would never pretend to be. I mean, who knows? Half this advice I've put on here might be shit. I don't know. But I'm good at listening. And I'm good at distracting and taking people's minds off of things. I'm good at, honestly, I'm good at just sitting there quiet. If that's all somebody needs is somebody to sit with them, I'm great at that. I can be quiet for hours if I need to be. But there's always somebody that you can reach out to. Maybe you didn't believe it before, but I'm telling you right now, you can always reach out to me. If I'm sleeping, I might not get back to you right away, but, I will reach back out. I will do what I can do from here to help you. Maybe that's why I've been put back on here or given a second chance is to help people, to put my message out there and let people know it's okay to ask for help. There's a girl I graduated high school with that, she had her own attempt several years ago. Luckily, she's still here with us. It's not somebody I ever would have guessed. From my perspective, she's athletic, she's super pretty, she's smart, got a good job, got a good family. Like, from my perspective, I was like, there's no way that happened to her, or that she could be in that place. And if it could happen to her, it could happen to anybody. And I mean, honestly, she's probably one of the bigger reasons I reached out and made this video. She's been very open with what she went through. I'm not going to say her name here just because it's not, I don't feel like it's my place. Maybe she'll watch this and figure out that's who I'm talking about. And some of you guys that went to high school with me, you guys probably know who I'm talking about. But if you somehow do manage to see this, I just want to say thank you for inspiring me to put my story out there and to reach out for help. You've really shown me that it's okay to not be okay, but that not being okay doesn't get to last forever. I reckon this is probably about a long enough video. Share this if you want. Ignore it if you want. It really don't matter to me. I just wanted to put my experience on video and to let people know that they're not alone and that everybody goes through something. Just some people, some things are a little bit bigger and a little bit darker than others. I hope everybody has a great day. Like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to me or, call the number if you need help. There's a 24/7 hotline. They're always there. Always. Somebody will always answer that phone and be there. There will always be a voice on the other end of that line for you. Love y'all. Thank you.